everybody, and welcome to the 9th interview as part of the COVID STEM Educator interview series. Today I have with me Dr. Matthew Ebbatson. Hi, Matt.
Hey, Angela.
How are you going?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Isolated.
That's good. So, Matt, I want to talk to you today about some of the aviation units that you've been teaching. I know that you have come from a background where you've been, in the aviation field, working at some prestigious universities in the UK with the postgraduate aviation courses, but also you worked in the flight safety, as a flight safety analyst in the past, haven't you?
Yes, I have, for an airline called Monarch Airlines in London.
And you've been at Swinburne for 7 to 8 years?
Just over 7 years now.
Oh, fantastic. Now, you've had to teach a second year, fairly large unit, about 90 to 100 students, human factors. You've taught that online for the whole first semester. What did you learn from teaching a unit fully online?
A lot. I think most importantly was the structure for the students. When I first started, I was a little bit variable in when I was uploading videos and content. And I got a bit of feedback from the students saying they were a bit anxious about knowing when the material was coming. So they like structure. Also, I think I got some feedback from the student check-in survey early on to say that they liked a human face on the lectures. So the videos I was uploading, I removed myself from, but actually I got feedback saying they wanted a picture of me or a video of me just to make it a little bit more sort of human, I guess. So I put that back in.
So having learnt that from your human factors unit, in semester 2, you're going to be teaching a third year unit, which is also quite a large unit. You've got, 70 to 80 students, maybe a bit more than that. You'll be teaching safety management systems. So can you tell me a little bit about how you're structuring that unit?
Sure. So I'll follow some of the principles I did this semester. About a third of the unit's going to be in asynchronous lectures. So videos, but really broken up into small 10-minute chunks. But then actually that unit, I traditionally run about 2/3 of it as a more of a simulation activity, a real-time simulation. So we basically bring the students together and they work as the mission control center of an airline, and they lose an aeroplane. An aeroplane just goes disappearing. And then they need to go through all of the actions to manage that emergency situation and then recover from it. And so the first few days of the simulation are basically then just being bombarded with information, which some of it makes sense, some of it's contradictory, different information going to different students, so they need to work together. And then the next part of the scenario is once they've sort of got things back on track and they've recurred, they need to then very quickly turn around and brief the CEO of the airline. And then brief media. So they need to sort of deliver live broadcasts to two very different audiences. They need to get their communication skills sorted out. Then the third element is, and I'm very fortunate to have a PhD student who's very proactive, and he's an ex-lawyer, as well as having worked from an airline. So he added to it last year, and we took them all to court. So then they have to go and defend the decisions that they made under pressure in a courtroom as if they were defending the actions of the airline.
How are you going to manage that online? So take me through the 3 parts to the simulation. So the first one with all this information being bombarded, how are you thinking of managing that?
Well, it's going to be an expansion of what we do with Canvas already. So we use discussion boards, and the discussion board, you can time releases, so we can shoot information out on a particular schedule. So that's not too bad. The media briefing, it might make it more authentic these days, because a lot of media briefings are being done via webcast anyway. So we will be asking the students, we can give them a little opportunity to actually sort of have a briefing and questions fired to them from lots of reporters. So
does this replace a final assessment? How does the assessment work? Do you still have an exam at the end, or?
I have a small exam, which honestly we've been scaling back and back and back as we've been scaling up the simulation. And the simulation has slowly become worth more and more of the continuous assessment. So the students get a proportion of their grade at the end of the simulation exercise, and also as a reflective piece at the end to see what soft skills they've picked up. But I'm sort of pivoting to give more and more of the formative assessment to the simulation piece.
Fantastic. And just the size of the groups, do they work as one whole class as a group, or do you have them broken into groups of 4 or 5? Or?
No, they tend to break into groups of 5, or I break them into groups of 5 or 4 if we can.
And does each group have the same simulation, or do they have variants of that simulation?
At the moment, it's the same. We're looking at ways to sort of manage that a bit more dynamically and then have each group go down various different pathways depending on decisions that they make.
Matthew, thank you so much for taking your time and communicating with me and the rest of FSET to understand how taken a learning activity and really try to simulate real life what would happen in an airline industry. So that's I'm really pleasing to hear that you're doing that and giving those students those really authentic learning experiences, which is what we're all about. And
I enjoy it too.
and using all the technologies too. So they're going to have to use technology and they have to be forced to use group work or work in groups and to communicate. Thank you so much, Matt. I hope everyone enjoyed this short interview with Matt.
Pleasure. Thanks, Angela.
Bye, everybody.